which is essentially do Christmassy things. Yay! Right, let's do this. Coach Helen for You Fit Studio. Now I'm talking about, I keep on saying like a weirdo, courage or courage, if you want to say it like a normal person. Courage. So what is courage? And why is it important when thinking about health and fitness? And what on earth does courage have to do with health and fitness? Quite a lot when it comes to mindset, actually. So I'm going to go through, as always, the definition of which I found, as always. And this is what the definition of courage is: the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty without fear and with bravery. So the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face a difficulty without fear, with bravery. Now I don't particularly, and I'm going to get on to the reason why, I don't particularly agree with that definition. But I will tell you why. So let's go over again. The quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face a difficulty without fear and with bravery. Now, do I think it requires bravery? Yes. What else does it require? I'm going to get into that. So what requires courage then when it comes to health and fitness, and why is it important? It's often at the start, and I think some of you will appreciate this if you've been on the journey for some time with us. You'll appreciate, and I've talked about it a lot, you start the journey very much like I want to be a size 10, regardless of what size you are right now. I want to be a size 10, 8 to 10 be good, and I want to tone up, and I want to maintain weight, right? That's just literally, I could say it's probably every legitimate female's goal as they come through the door and they sit down with me. They'll say that this is what I want to do. Now, as it turns out, the journey, as anyone will test who's been with this or is working with this, is never quite what it appears to be from the outset. And actually, you tend to run into quite tricky situations that you didn't foresee, either with friends, family, work colleagues, your own mindset, definitely, right? You know, what started out as I'd like to be a size 10 turns into a whole overhaul of confidence levels, of self-awareness about where you see yourself in the world, how you view yourself, how others view you. All of it becomes a mass journey that requires a lot of resilience mentally, right? Definitely some resilience mentally, and often some pretty tricky conversations. We'll say difficult conversations. We have to face situations that we don't particularly find comfortable. Now, a lot of clients will start out, not intentionally, avoiding those situations because they're not feeling enough confidence or courage to address the situation. So they do what they've been doing for a number of years before working with the gist, which is either to ignore it or to avoid it, or ignore and avoid at the same time, right? Because they're both very effective ways of dealing with something that you don't feel you have the courage to deal with. Now, eventually, it comes a point in someone's journey where if they don't address these situations, these difficult conversations, and start to put together the courage to face them, it actually stops them in their journey, or we'll say stop. Makes it more challenging, shall we say, right? Makes it more challenging. If you're listening to this and you're watching this and your client, you're probably already thinking your own scenario where you've had that really tricky conversation about what the heck you're doing, or why you're doing something, or why you're not doing something else, right? We all, including myself as a client, face that when dealing with wanting to lose weight or change our lives, that we met with some resistance from people around us and had to have some pretty challenging or difficult conversations. And the thing is that we end up going into these conversations or avoiding these conversations because of fear, right? So we avoid the conversations because of fear, because we're worried about the outcome. We don't feel like we're confident enough to have the courage to do it. Now, if we go back to the definition, right? So let's say we have this fear around it, right? Now, the definition of courage says that the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty without fear. Now, and Kate already knows the answer to this because Kate says this enough. I don't agree with that definition because I think often we have to have these conversations with fear, right? It's not something that goes away. You don't have it without fear, actually. Sometimes we're facing difficult conversations and have the confidence within ourselves, which is more than probably bravery or courage. Getting the confidence to have this conversation whilst feeling a mass amount of fear of the consequence is really the key to being courageous in this situation. So if you're struggling with your journey, you're like, right, I want to get up the courage to address this particular situation with a friend or a family member that I'm dealing with because they don't understand me. I'm too scared. I'm too scared. Well, the thing is that fear isn't going to go away, right? having courage. And what is courage? Courage is doing something, still holding that fear, right? If you really want to move forward in where your weight goal is, and you know that you're being challenged by somebody in your sphere of influence, which I'll come back to on another live as well. If you're waiting till you don't feel any fear, you'll be waiting a long time, right? The courage to have these conversations and the confidence to have these conversations doesn't start when fear stops, right? It happens alongside at the same time. Now, the real, true, amazing thing about confidence is kind of like self-fulfilling, right? Because all these things go hand in hand, right? So if I really want to be courageous and have this big, like, beating chest conversation with somebody, what's the outcome? Well, 9 times out of 10 working with clients, probably actually that's a lie, 10 times out of 10, right? It never goes the way they think it's going to go, because they always think about it with the worst case scenario, and that's why they've been avoiding it and not having the courage to have the conversation, because they're working out of fear. Now, once they have it, does it go according to plan? No. Do they get the outcome they're looking for? Yes. Does it help them feel in the moment afterwards more confident? Yes. Right? So it's almost self-fulfilling. So then does the fear go and they feel more courage and more confidence each time to have that conversation, maybe a similar conversation with somebody else causing the same challenges? Yes. Right? So let's go back to the definition again. The quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty without fear and with bravery. Bravery, yes. Fear, no. You do it with, right? You do it with fear. And what helps your confidence levels afterwards is always understanding to believe in what you're talking about. So if you're having a difficult conversation with somebody, that you have a fear of how it's going to go, believing in the message you're giving somebody is downright the most successful way to continue to build your courage, right? Because actually, the more you learn that the conversations you have a positive outcome, that you actually do have control of, that there is no fear attached to it because there is no worst case scenario, you understand that actually the journey you're on for yourself is the right one, right? At the end of the day, I've not ever worked with a client who hasn't gained courage or confidence by having the conversation, even with fear, and then having the courage to keep having it. So what is courage, right? So let's go back to the title of this episode. So what is courage? Courage is having the ability to do something or having a difficult, challenging conversation, a lot of the time in health and fitness, with fear, not knowing the outcome, and continuing to do it over and over again. So again, to recap, right? The quality of mind or spirit, right? Mind or spirit as well, right? Mind or spirit enables a person, so enabling, so just getting it done, a person to face difficulty without fear and with bravery, right? What requires courage? Like if you're talking about health and fitness from a mindset point of view, it's overcoming all those obstacles that stopped you losing weight before. Now, I've talked about conversations because they are the most common ones when it comes to people fearing moving forward, right? There can be anything in your world right now that requires you to do something that makes you uncomfortable. It requires courage to keep pushing, right? Keep pushing to get through the boundary and move forward with the goal you want to have. Like that requires courage in any part of health and fitness, more than probably people give it credit. So if you can hear the background, it's a relaxing tones of Noel. It's the first time I've had a cry, I think. So yeah, why is courage important? Courage is important because we want to face the situations we don't want to, because it's stopping us moving forwards. Like in any journey you've ever had, if you haven't had the courage to do it, that's why you have a coach, right? Because a coach like me can listen to you, help you reflect on what it is, the journey, so you know the confidence to know what you have to say, to communicate, to know what obstacles you need to overcome. That's what a coach is for, to help manage your fears, right? We have to do what makes us uncomfortable. And often we wait, right? We wait until we feel no fear to do something. Like we'll be more confident if we're not scared. But actually, the reality is you have to do it while you are scared to gain confidence, to build on your courage, right? The more you do that, again, it's self-fulfilling. The more you face these fears and carry them, feel the fear and do it anyway. Oh, I had to drop it anyway. I didn't like it. I had to do it. Drop that line, right? It's true. You have to do it while you're carrying fear to feel courage and to feel braver every time you do it. And that is what courage is all about. Doing something that's really uncomfortable while carrying a ton of fear. And, you know, when I say, well, it's courageous is actually admitting that you need support from a coach to do it in the first place, right? If any of you, again, if you're members and clients, you know how much it took to pick up the phone the first time and ask for help, right? That's courageous. That's doing something where you're feeling fear, not knowing the outcome, and you did it, right? So if you are members or clients and you know you did that, you overcame that first phone call and spoke to us, you know what it takes, what courage takes. Now that's a small insight into what really takes. Like every single stage of your journey, you're going to have to overcome an obstacle and do it while fearing fear. But if you rely on previous behaviors, which are always to avoid or ignore, right, the things that make us uncomfortable and feel scared, that's why you would have previously really struggled in your health and fitness journey. And that's why we need people like us, right? Because we're there to support you and smash it through, right? Full courage. Tomorrow, I've had this a lot, so I have this running up to Christmas. People have asked this over Christmas, which is really interesting. Tomorrow is a live about why meal plans suck. They just suck. They suck. They suck big time. Meal plans suck. So if you're someone who thinks I can only lose weight if I had a meal plan, and lose weight, tune in tomorrow. I'm 5 o'clock in tomorrow, by the way. I'm back at 5. Tune in tomorrow at 5, back to normal schedule. I'll tell you why meal plans just suck. They suck. I mean, I'm being polite. I could say worse, but they suck. In the meantime, have a lovely evening, and I will, as always, catch you tomorrow.